Hello guys and welcome back to My Wildlife Homesteading. Uh, it has been another lovely day. We're just going to chill by the fire for a minute, starting to cool down. And I know last night I woke up pretty chilly, so we're going to let the house get nice and warm before bed, snuggle into the sheets and call it a day. But I figured I'd say goodnight to y'all and have a quick chat if anyone wants to talk about anything. So far I've had some decoys in the backfields for 2 days. Trying to draw in some geese, and so mowed down a landing strip in the backfields, put some decoys down. So far, no sign of them. I've got the trail cans up, but it's been pretty windy, a little bit blustery today, so I didn't see much geese in the air either. So we will see. I'm really hoping they start landing in there, and that way we'll have a successful hunt. One of the big things we did today, we went through our last 2 years out here on the homestead, went through a bunch of footage and put together an introduction video, a This Is My Wildlife video. So I really thought as we're gaining traction, we're getting more people, and we're trying to find our direction, we're figuring out where exactly we're going with this channel, I thought it was a good time to do an introduction video. And so we have now posted the This Is My Wildlife introduction video. So for those who are tuning in, who've never heard of us, never seen us before, that would be a good place to start. It's only a minute and a half, 90 second, just a super cut video showing off a bunch of highlights of the channel. We got little baby Bast in there, our goat, one of the first goats born on the homestead. And you know, all the goats and chickens and rabbits and ducks, the whole thing, the whole shebang. Yeah, it was a good day. We started the day off with a live stream. Then we spent the day collecting some footage, going over making some new footage, and editing up that video. One of the nice things about doing these live streams and hanging out with you guys is when I'm done, I'm done. I make a thumbnail and that's about it. Maybe edit a description, play with the title a little bit. But for the most part, live streaming is a little easier than long form, because when you are done, you are done. When you're doing a long form video, you got to go in, you got to get a bunch of footage, you got to splice it all together, you got to tell a coherent story, maybe you got to do some retakes. It can be a lot more work. This was probably the first time I've probably enjoyed doing a long form video, just because it meant a lot to me, doing the introduction to the channel video. I'll probably redo it down the road as we continue to grow the homestead and there's just more to show and more to tell. Ideally, I got to convince my wife to let me get a drone one day. I would love to have some aerial shots of the property. Our off-grid homestead here is a peninsula. The lake goes all the way around, and it's really, really pretty from the sky. So it'd be cool to be able to show that off. One of the things we're talking about doing in the future is putting our house down further south. Our next house. We plan to build another house here. And once our house is a little further south, we're a little far from the farm fields. And yes, you can just get up and walk and come to the farm fields, but I think it'd be really cool to just fly a drone out the bedroom window, come check out the fields, make sure all the animals are cool, and then fly right on back. And Diego, at least you think you're funny. Cheers. So yeah, that's kind of the plan. It's kind of the plan. We're going to build that house in 3 to 5 years. And then if we go a little bit too far south and I don't have good eyes on the animals, if I can convince my wife to let me get a drone, that's what I'd like to do. Obviously, if they get trained to it, they won't spook so easy. And Krista says, is that water? Yes. I was going to live stream earlier today, but I've kind of had a headache all day. So drinking some water before bed. Lighting a fire, drinking some water, and chatting with you guys. I gotta review a message. It's probably inappropriate. If my phone will let me click the button. It's not letting me click it. I'm gonna ignore it then. Well, yeah, how's everyone doing tonight? It's Saturday night up here in Canada. It is Thanksgiving weekend. So my wife and kids went away to see family for the weekend. I stayed here to watch the homestead. And so I'm just chilling. Krista says, I'm drinking vodka. It kind of looks like water. Let's have a race. Let's see who can finish theirs first. Just kidding. Just kidding. Please don't die. Yeah, just some water. Just some water. I actually haven't had any alcohol for 6 years come November. It was 2019. The last time I had a drink was November 19th, 2019. Not that I had a problem, just as everyone knows, shortly after that, the world kind of went a little crazy. And when everything shut down, it just made sense to not pick drinking back up, make healthier choices going forward. And your local horse girl says, $50, $100. What are we betting on? Who can drink this faster? So did everyone have a good Saturday? We are coming into Sunday. Up here in Canada, this is Thanksgiving weekend. So for any Canadians, happy Thanksgiving. Up here in Canada, we do things a little bit different. In the States, your Thanksgiving is in November. For us, we do it a month early because it's a little colder up here. So our growing season's a little shorter. And Krista says, glad you are sober. I fell off the wagon recently. I hope to stop someday soon. I am in Canada too. Well, Krista, it feels awkward to cheers to that, but happy Thanksgiving. And 2026 is right around the corner. It's a new year. It's a new time to set fresh goals. Speaking of fresh goals, Freshly Wild dropping in saying, hello, Justin and friends. How you doing, Freshly? JB, how you doing? We're just chilling by the fire right now. We've already done our animal chores. We've already put all the animals away. For those who are just joining, we've got our chickens, ducks, cows, goats, rabbits, etc. Tuck them all away for the night. Any day now, man, any day now, Oreo is going to have her twins or triplets. So if you guys want to see some baby goats, subscribe to the channel because any day now, she's going to have some adorable baby goats. I'm just waiting for those to show up. And Ty Boxer says, put that dog on a dang leash, man. Which dog? My dog's outside. She's somewhere out there. I do have a dog, but she's outside. Freshly says, happy Thanksgiving, Justin. That fire looks amazing and cozy. It is. I don't want to get it too roaring because this is the awkward time of year up here in Canada. Up here in Canada, it's going to get down to about 7 degrees Celsius. So that's like 39, 40 degrees Fahrenheit. It's going to get down to around 40 degrees Fahrenheit tonight. And last night, I woke up cold. I didn't light a fire. I was saying on my live stream last night that I was probably going to pre-stock the wood stove. So if I woke up cold, it would just be quick to get out and start it up. I didn't. And so I just kind of lied there cold for a while. I figured I'm not going to do that again. It's really, really nice to go to bed toasty warm. So I figured light the stove, let it warm up the whole house, and then we'll go to sleep nice and toasty warm. And Freshly is dropping the custom emojis in the chat. Pig Vomit says, Canada, eh? How you doing there, bud? Canada, eh? How about that? Big Erm dropping back in the chat. Been a while. Big Erm, we haven't had any issues with any trolling in a while. How you doing, buddy? Sorry for the previous drama. Mr. Palad, again telling me I need a haircut. Oh boy, Mr. Palad, I don't look like Joe Biden. I don't look like Joe Biden. I don't look like I'm already dead. What are you talking about? MK Knife Making in the chat. How you doing, buddy? These evening just hangout sessions tend to get a little wild. I'm telling you guys, during the day when we're live streaming, we're out with all the animals and we're just chilling, teaching people about animals, the conversations stay pretty tame. But when we're just chilling, y'all get crazy. And that's okay. I'm here for it. I'm going to grab another glass of water. We're just going to slam water before bed. Bear with me, guys. I'm going to grab more water. For those who are just joining, and have no idea what this YouTube channel is about, wha-bam, feel free to check out the new intro video I posted today. I did up a minute-and-a-half video today, just a supercut video showing off some of the excitement and adventures that's gone on over the last 2 years out here on White Pines Homestead. So if you guys, I encourage you, go check out that introduction video. It's called This Is My Wild Life. Go check it out. And a warrioress mistress says, animal killer. You are absolutely right. I do kill animals. That is a thing. I am a hunter. I am a homesteader. Um, I am not ashamed. I have unalived a lot of animals. This is true. Actually, on that topic, I have a YouTube short going live tomorrow morning. I've already pre-scheduled it, just demonstrating reusable mouse traps where I did unalive a mouse. Now I did cut the image so you don't see it. You're not going to see the mouse, but I'm just demonstrating how effective those reusable traps are. But yeah, as much as I may be a quote unquote animal killer, I am also a caretaker for the animals. We've got the cows and the goats and the dogs and the chickens and the rabbits and the ducks, and we had pigs. They're not alive anymore. And we take good care of them because we breed them and then we eat their babies. Sweet Soul says, you keep any as pets? All of my breeders I consider pets. All of my breeder animals have names. We name them all. We take really good care of them. And so, yeah, they all have names. They are all pets. But we do breed animals for meat on the homestead, so we do eat them as well. And Bria says, hi. What? Hi, Bria. 847 says, I bet you buy all your food at the store. I don't, but I have a fridge full of chicken eggs right now. We get all of our meat, dairy, and eggs right from here on the homestead. We butchered our bull in March, and then we did 4 pigs in, I guess, was it end of September? Very end of September. And then we hatch all of our own ducks and chickens, but then you end up with too many roosters, the boys, and so you have to cull off some of those. So we do butcher and process them. And often I do also go deer hunting. However, I had spinal surgery 6 weeks ago, and so I'm not able to go hunting this year. Warrior says, pretending and acting like what you do is normal and respectable when it is just evil. I mean, for all of humanity, we have hunted and we have gathered. So, I just do it in the most humane way I can. And yeah, I mean, thinking that it's not normal is just wrong. All of humanity, we have gotten to this point in our ancestry from hunting and gathering. Nick says, have you been to a goop festival? Nick, I have no idea what that is, but it doesn't sound PG. What's a goop festival? And if it's not PG, don't elaborate. Sweet Soul says, you pray for them? Is it quick death? I imagine bigger animals are harder to kill. It's all a quick death for all of them. When you are putting down something like a cow, it is a large caliber bullet straight to the brain. It's instant, it's immediate. The smaller animals, you will decapitate or sever their spine. Again, it's instant. It's a lot more humane to process your own animals than for them to be unalived in the wild. In the wild, you're going to have wolves and coyotes tearing animals apart and eating them while they're still alive. At least in homesteading, you're taking care of the animals, and when you are ready to process them, you process them humanely. We're a homestead, not a commercial farm, so we are way more gentle with all of our animals. We spend a lot more time with our animals. Like a commercial farm, the farmer doesn't spend time with the animals. The animal is born, lives in captivity, and then is butchered. It's not like that here. When you're on a homestead, we're out there giving the pigs belly rubs. Check out any of my videos. You're going to see lots of videos of me hanging out with the animals, giving them lots of belly rubs and pets, lots of treats. They come when you call. And then when it's time to process them, you do what you have to do. And Freshly says, Justin, the chat and I are curious. What did you whip up for dinner today without the wife around to help? Well, Freshly, I was able to, and thanks, I didn't even review that one. Freshly, really nicely. I can't say that I really cooked today. My wife had cooked some ham from one of our pigs on, was it Thursday, I guess? She cooked ham Thursday night, so I had leftover ham. So today, I took that leftover ham, I put some butter on a pan, threw the ham on, and then cracked a bunch of farm fresh eggs over top of the ham. And then I drizzled it all in birch syrup and sauteed that, heated it back up, and that's what I had for supper. So I had homestead pork, homestead eggs, and birch syrup for supper. Angel says, favorite caliber. My favorite caliber for in general is probably the 22 caliber, small caliber rifle, just because it's kind of the most useful around a homestead. You know, for hunting partridge and wild hare and squirrels and that kind of stuff. Big game, I personally use a 300 Savage. That's just my choice. And Kermudge in says, one warning, Warrior Mistress. Warrior Mistress is on a tear. Warrior Mistress, if you want to have an actual conversation about it, we can. That by all means, we can have an actual conversation about it. But for me, this is the lifestyle I choose. I'm sorry if this is not the lifestyle you want, but if you don't want it, you feel free to swipe. That is A-okay. For anyone who's new here and curious about the channel, I just put out an introduction to This Is My Wildlife video. It's a minute and a half. It's a quick shot. And you're going to see, Warrior Mistress, you're going to see the baby goats that have been born on the homestead, the baby rabbits that have been born on the homestead. You're going to see all the goats and the chickens and the ducks. I think Gabby's in there. Gabby might be the only animal I left out, my cow, while I was doing a supercut there. There's only so much time when you're trying to come up with a minute and a half of video and you've got 156 acres to explore. And Henrik says, I hunt with a 50 BMG. I don't even know what a 50 BMG is, my friend. Kermudge in says, with YouTube is being bad, keeps moving stuff when trying to block. I hear you. I hear you. You're saying, what the? Warrior Mistress says, pretending not to be what? A 50 cal. You don't hunt with a 50 cal. What are you hunting? Are you hunting elephants? And Freshly says, chat, we are an inclusive community. We are here for all. We are an inclusive community. For sure, not everything that's going to be talked about or covered on the homestead is going to jive with everyone. But I do want to be respectable about it, so I'm okay with having normal conversations with anyone who wants to have a conversation about it. But I'm not gonna pretend that I don't process animals on the homestead. I'm not gonna pretend that I don't hunt. Georgie says you should find a boyfriend to kiss. I actually have a wife. She's just not here right now because her and my kids went to go visit her family. I live in the remote north up here in Canada. And Warrior Mistress says, evil demons must stick together. Flesh-eating zombies. No wonder Homer Simpson was based on the meathead moron. Alrighty, Warrior Mistress. And that looks like that's gotta go. Angel says, 30-30, underrated, tell me not. You know what? I'm going to be honest. I don't have a ton of experience with different calibers of rifles. I use a 300 Savage. I've always used a 300 Savage. It was passed down to me from my great uncle, and so that is the gun I use. I've shot a 300 Win Mag, which doesn't feel like it packs as much punch as the 300 Savage. I think the 300 Savage is closer to a 30-06 cartridge. But I mean, either way, it's all a fantastic rifle. Freshly says that fire is cooking. I'm trying to heat up the house so that when I go to sleep, I'm toasty warm. Like I was saying earlier, last night. Oh, I need to scroll. Last night I woke up really cold. Freshly says this dude is a real man. That's so disrespectful. I missed what she said, but thanks for getting her out of here, guys. Kermudge in Alaska says, OMG, why did it take that many tries to block her? Sorry, it's okay. Happy chickens. It's good to see ya. How you doing? Angel says, I respect it. Curmudgeon says, no need. No, you need it cool when sleeping. I think last night it got down to about 16 degrees in my house. My wife and kids aren't here. So normally I keep the house really warm because I have a 6-month-old, I have a baby. But when I wake up cold, it's too cold. And so I never did do a wood stove this morning. I didn't light a fire. Eventually it warmed up today, but I didn't want it again. So I was like, you know what? Let's get the house pumping and then we'll sleep comfortably. And Jerry Cooper says, this live is going viral on Facebook. Sure, why not? More attention, more the merrier, Jerry. How you doing, buddy? And Curmudgeon says, okay, that makes it different, brother. And Obama says, I hunt with dogs. They have rabies. You hunt with dogs that have rabies, or you hunt dogs that have rabies? Kyle says, is that your only heat source? The wood furnace advertised today. Pretty cool. This is my primary heat source. I do have a backup propane heat source, but I usually just turn it off. So that's propane over there. It is a backup heat source so that if I'm not home, my pipes aren't going to freeze. So this property here is my off-grid homestead. I live off-grid. These lights are being powered by solar panels and, because it's nighttime, batteries. And so you can't really just have one heat source up here. Oh boy, I'm spilling water. Because it gets down to minus 40 degrees in the winter. And so the wood stove, I try to keep this thing as the primary and only heat source. If I can help it, that thing doesn't turn on. But, you know, there's odd circumstances where you got to be out of town for a weekend and you can't have all your pipes freeze and burst. So propane backup. It's just crazy expensive. Being up here in the remote north in Canada, I've got a little 500-pound propane tank. To get that thing filled is like $1,500. And the walls in here are not very efficient, so it loses heat fast. So when that thing's running, it's just burning money. Stainless flue, up above is stainless. This is all double wall piping. I installed this 2 years ago. It's all brand new stuff, all to code. And Jerry had said, no, it is viral on Facebook. Everyone's talking about you. People are saying you abuse animals on Facebook right now. Just letting you know, Jerry, I don't care what people say, man. All I've said is that I hunt and that I homestead, which is true. Honestly, I hope it does go viral. That'll bring some, negative heat brings positive heat. I'm okay with viral, whichever way it goes. I know that I'm not breaking any terms or conditions, so viral be viral. Cheers to that. And Curmudge In says, oh, get away from that propane. Get a Toyotomi oil stove. We love ours. Been running it for 2 months and have only needed 20 gallons of oil. You know what, Curmudge? I really do like the oil burning stoves. The problem is up here in Canada, to get insurance on your house is really hard with oil burning appliances. So if I didn't want to get insurance on the house, I could run oil, but otherwise it's really hard. I would like to get an oil burner like that. So maybe I'll have to check your video out again. Guys, go check out Curmudge in Alaska if you guys want to know what it's like to live off-grid in Alaska. But I do want to get an oil burner for some of my outbuildings. Maybe I'll convert my garage to oil burning. And I want to put up a butchering shop on the property at one point. So yeah. Jerry is saying, but there are videos of you that other people have taken. There's no other videos of me, my friend. I live literally alone in the middle of nowhere. And pretty sure you'll get in trouble for the footage they've taken. Jerry, I don't know who you're talking about, but it ain't me. And Curmudge In says, OMG, you are all opposite of us. They would rather have oil than wood in a lot of places here. I know Canada's getting a little iffy towards wood just because they don't like emissions. But here's the thing that drives me crazy about that. We have so many massive forest fires up here because we have too much wood in the forest. We have too much fallen wood, too much dead wood, too much dry wood in the forest. And so we have massive forest fires. You guys in the States have smelt our fires. And so those fires have put out more emissions than I ever could in 100 lifetimes. And so it's just wild that they want to crack down on people burning wood, because me burning wood is taking wood out of the forest and making the forest less dry, less combustible. It's really a good thing to burn wood in the forest. And Zulfi says, how is your spine now? You know what? I'm feeling better every day. I saw the surgeon on Friday and the surgeon told me that I'm able to start going back to the gym. I'm able to start working out. I've got 6 more weeks of healing before my spine is considered healed. But it's coming along really well. And Bingo said, did you know Pikaia, a tiny aquatic worm-like creature, is a distant relative to humans, and they are the reason you have to pay taxes? God dang worms. It's always the worms. And Obama says, stop eating meat, apples only. Apples are what got Eve in trouble. If you're supposed to eat apples, then why did Eve get in trouble? Debo says, glossy, unblemished surface, a crisp snap when broken, a complex balance of deep cocoa flavor with subtle notes of fruit, spice, and floral undertones. A smooth melt on the tongue without graininess. I was so close. I was so close. I was reading that so nice. And then I just managed to fail at the end. Jerry says, okay, well, don't say I didn't warn you, but because, like, they've been around your property. Jerry, I'm gonna have to block you soon. Nobody's been around my property. I live in the middle of nowhere. Nobody has been here. Um, and Pierre Poilievre, who lost in the last election as leader of Canada, Prime Minister of Canada, he was just talking recently. He wants to be a little bit more American. He was talking about a stand your guard or stay on guard law, which is similar to a stand your ground law, where if people come onto your property, you'd be allowed to legally persuade them to leave and defend yourself if you had to. I'm kind of all for that. Tess says, will you marry me? I'm sorry, but I am taken. I have a beautiful wife and 5 kids. I am happily married. Kyle says, I think Jerry's trolling. Jerry is trolling because I live in the middle of nowhere. And Kermudge, and also, I take such good care of my animals. Check out any of my videos, guys. I have thousands, literally thousands of hours of content on YouTube. Jerry, I'm going to put you on a timeout because the trolling isn't funny. And I'm trying to actually keep conversation. Okay, Kermudgeon, my screen isn't letting me touch it. Kermudge, can you put Jerry on a 5-minute timeout here? There's a lot of good conversations happening and I want to stay on top of it. Thank you. And Bingo says, do you hate Pacaya because you have to pay taxes? The dang worm. I feel like that word means something else in a different language and y'all be trolling. And Too Evil, Too Hope says, wow, a couple streams today. Nice. I promised, I said, my wife and kids are out of town. I'm home alone. I'm lonely. And so I thought we could get a couple live streams in. I did get a long form video in today. I did an introduction to this channel. So it's a 1.5 minutes. It's a supercut of really cute and wholesome moments, off-grid living, kind of one of the bush planes I've taken flying over this area. And so, yeah, it's just a little quick intro video about living off-grid in Canada and homesteading. So if you guys are so inclined and want to learn more about what kind of content you would normally see on this channel, check out my intro video that we just posted today. I made a couple mistakes. I first uploaded the video, but my editor had made it darker than I wanted. And so then I took it down, I re-uploaded it. Hopefully YouTube doesn't get mad at me for that. But I figured it only had like 20 views. It was like, let's take it down and put the higher quality version up before people start seeing it. So anyway, if you got multiple notifications, I apologize, guys. Technical difficulties. But, oh boy. I touched the screen and you guys kept scrolling. Tess says, you are awesome, toot toot. And I don't know why YouTube is not letting me touch stuff. Guys, you want to get Watchdog out of here? It's another sub account of Jerry. Thanks, guys. And Ernie said, how cold does it get at night in the winter and how do you survive? So in January, February, we get down to minus 45 degrees, which is nasty. Like, that's ridiculous. The pipes all freeze. You know, I got to be under the house with heaters and it's awful. All the animal water dishes constantly freeze at that temperature. So I got to get out there like 3 times a day, break up the ice, put fresh water in. It's rough. Now, you keep this guy blazing all the time. So you get the house really hot and you dress warm. It's also one of those things that the temperature slowly gets colder and colder and colder. Right now, it'll probably get down, if we're talking American, it'll get down to about 40 degrees Fahrenheit tonight. But you toughen up. You get used to the cold. And yeah, Paul says, take an ice bath. You know what? For being a Canadian and being out there in the snow all the time, I'm the biggest sis when it comes to cold water. I've tried to do ice baths and I cannot do it. I cannot do it. I cannot stand cold water. Brian says, "What's happening? What have you done?" Nothing, my friend. We're just chilling out here on the homestead. It sounds like maybe I made someone angry because I told them that. No, why do we have so many trolls in the chat? So many trolls tonight. Curmudgeon, you're having to work hard tonight. For some reason, my stream isn't letting me touch. I'm gonna swipe up and then back so I see if I can touch the screen again. It's no. For some reason, whatever. Curmudgeon, Alaska, I'm going to be relying on you. Apollo, oh boy, Justin's live time to troll. Man, I have so many trolls in the chat right now. I made one person angry because I was talking about homesteading. And so they're either flipping through sub accounts and trying to troll, or they're posting on Facebook or something. It's a little bit wild here right now. But yeah, for some reason my phone won't let me touch the screen to do my own moderation. So I can't block anything myself. So I'm leaning heavy on you guys to moderate. Kyle says, yeah, I'm not into cold water either. That's torture. It's just not for me. I need, you know what? I went to Italy one time and I was in like the Mediterranean Sea, and that was like bath water. I loved it. I am bred and born to live in Italy. I'm Italian in descent and my body knows it. Up here in Canada, even when it's 30 degrees Celsius, super hot, we're talking like 84 degrees Fahrenheit. When it's super hot out, I still have a hard time going in the lake because I like the heat. And Curmudgeon says, make sure you send me a link on Facebook later as I cannot find you on it right now. I will get rid of them in that too. I don't actually have a Facebook page for my YouTube channel. So yeah, I don't have anything on Facebook. I only use Facebook for my local areas buy and sell and for the farm group. So when I'm selling eggs and meat rabbits and stuff like that. So yeah, Curmudgeon in Alaska says, so definitely trolls. Yeah, the only thing they could be doing, see here's Jackson too. The only thing they could be doing is posting on Facebook and linking the live stream to get people in. But yeah. Fun fact, so that last guy, Jackson, was saying, slitting animals is not cool. Slitting their throats. I actually don't slit the animals' throats. That's not how I butcher my animals. I do know some farms, a lot of farms, most farms, when they're doing like pigs, they'll hang them up while they're still alive and slit the throat to bleed them. That's not what I do. I use a bullet, I use a gun, and I make sure it's instantaneous. That's how I deal with it. Yeah, I will bleed the animal after it's dead, so I might shoot it and then do that, but that's not how I unalive my animals. That is no bueno in my opinion. I understand that the blood loss is fast, and so I'm not judging anyone who does do it that way. That's just not how I do it. And Barry says, I like baby bunny. It tastes good. Bunnies do taste delicious. I find meat rabbits, homestead rabbits, I know knife making, it's okay, it's okay. Homestead rabbits, they're basically the dark meat of a chicken or a turkey, but the whole thing. So the whole thing is juicy and tender. If you're eating wild hare, I find it really gamey and really stringy because they are a prey animal. They spend their entire life on the run, and so they're super sinewy, super tough. But a homestead animal, which is raised and cared for and gets up to weight and doesn't have to run and be afraid of predators, and you know, it's used to you picking it up and petting it. They put on a lot of weight really fast. It's really tender, really juicy. Amanda says, it's Saturday night. I don't want to do anything else. Canadians are awesome. For all my Canadians out there right now, cheers, happy Thanksgiving to you. It is Thanksgiving weekend. Amanda, I made someone mad online, and so people are trolling right now. Someone's posting on Facebook or something and getting people upset. Harry says, using a bolt causes excruciating, anguishing pain. I don't use a bolt gun. I use a real gun, like a 300 Savage, a real gun. It's instantaneous unaliving when I have to butcher a bigger animal. Freshly says, cheers and happy Thanksgiving. Love you all. And Melissa says, happy Thanksgiving. Harry says, Shane footage from you. Disgusting. The only animal I've actually ever shown butchering on YouTube is fish. Nobody cares when you butcher fish online. There are lots of videos of people butchering things like rabbits online. I haven't done that myself. People do, when people do it, you got to be sensitive about it because you get all these trolls in here. So you got to be careful about it. But yeah, I personally don't like showing that kind of footage, so I just don't. When it comes to fish, though, people don't care. People don't care about our poor fish friends. So I have no problem cleaning fish on video. I've done a couple live streams where we've caught and cleaned some fish. I do it in a way that I'm teaching you guys every step of the way. So if I'm doing a video where I'm going to be processing an animal, like I said, I never have done it for the other animals, but when I'm doing fish, I just make sure I'm very educational about it. So I'm teaching you everything I'm doing, where all the bones are, how to get a clean, good fillet out of them, and how to use the most of the fish. So that's, I feel like as long as you're educational, it's all good. But 99% of the trolls on here also eat meat. So yeah, it's interesting. Curmudgeon, this is probably... and Freshly, this is probably the most trolling I've had. For some reason, every once in a while, my phone just stops scrolling, guys. Sorry about that. I'm having some technical issues on my end. Freshly says, what's that little fan for, Justin, by the chimney? So this little fan, it's driven by heat, actually. It's activated by heat. And so the way that works is there is a little circuit board on it. There's no battery on it, but I guess as it gets warm, it creates a connection and it causes the fan to start spinning. There are some wires on it. So there is some electronics on it, but it's heat activated. So when the wood stove gets hot enough, what it's doing is it's pulling the cold air that's behind the wood stove up and pushing it forward. I really don't find that they work crazy well. What's better are these ceiling fans. There, the ceiling fans run in reverse to suck the heat up and dispense it. But the nice thing about this, the reason I like having this guy is because it lets me know when the wood stove is still too hot to touch, and it's a good reminder for all the kids. So sometimes the fire will go out and it won't look hot. But if the fan is spinning, you know that thing is still going to melt your fingertips if you touch it. So it's a good reminder for like the kids. Don't go near the wood stove when the fan is spinning. Does that make sense? And Amanda says, I'm sure you did everything right. Some trolls should go back under their bridge. And Henrik says, try to put it on a chainsaw machine. Boost it. Put what? Put that guy on a chainsaw? And they generate electricity through thermal heat process. So Kyle, do you guys know there's no battery on it though, right? Like it's just the heat. The heat creates a connection. There's a circuit board. I don't know enough about them. The fins on the top are all heat sinks. One fun fact: the reason I have it on the back ledge, the first one I had, I put on the front ledge, not realizing. On the front ledge, it gets way too hot because it's taking heat from the stack and from the surface, and you melt the circuitry inside of it. So it's actually got to be up higher and further back because they can get too hot and they can melt. So they generate electricity through thermal heat process, but how? How exactly are they working? It's black magic, guys. It's black magic. There's a wizard down in Zimbabwe who's powering that thing. And I still can't click on messages to review. This is a very strange live stream for me. Curmudgeon Alaska says, one side gets hot, one stays cool. The difference it creates is electric. And Sharon says, horrified by what I just watched. What is wrong with you? Can we get rid of Sharon? Why do we have so many trolls in the chat tonight, guys? And how can you shoot animals in the head? It's a very quick and efficient way to process them. Larry says, do you have COVID yet? I've had COVID a couple times. I pretty well didn't get too sick, so it was no big deal. Kyle says, Yeah, there's no battery on them. They're really pretty cool, pretty high tech. And Curmudgeon says, also known as a TEG. Um, Curmudge, you want to get rid of Sharon? Sharon's another one of our trolls for the night. And Henrik says, Mexicans out of Zimbabwe are coming. Coming where? Clyde says, you got to pay the troll to get past the troll. I know, Clyde, I know. This is a weird live stream for us. It's not my first time I've had issues with people. I had one person, so I did a video called Meat Rabbits. And I think one of the ones I did was called How to Cure Nest Box Eye on Meat Rabbits. Um, and so, um, uh, Mr. Junkie, I was talking about homesteading, and someone started freaking out. And I guess they're posting on Facebook and trying to draw people in to create drama on the channel. So it's just a bunch of trolling. Um, but yeah, Clyde says, any Charizards? I don't think I have any Charizards. I do have multiple Pokemon binders because it's a fun thing to do with my kids. I've got some Charmeleons, but I don't think I have any Charizards. TH Outdoors says, have you been deer hunting this year? I don't plan to go deer hunting this year, TH. I don't plan to do any hunting this year. I had my spinal surgery 6 weeks ago. I'm still healing. And so I think I'm just going to take it easy this year. To go either actively hunt and go hiking in the forests and in the clear cuts and through the bush and the mountainsides, I know I can't do that. Sitting in a tree stand for more than an hour is just not going to happen right now. So I'm just going to skip hunting altogether. I'm going to let the population repopulate, and we'll get back at it next year. I do have a bunch of goose decoys set up in my back field. Haven't seen any signs that the goose are landing yet, but if they start landing, I've got a buddy who's going to come down and hunt the geese. And so he's hunted geese with me before, but he's never actually processed them. I normally do the processing for him. So when he does get some geese, we're going to process them together, and I'll show him what I do. I'm sure he'll watch some tutorials and he'll do what he wants to do as well, and we'll learn from each other that way. But yeah, he'll come hunt on my land, and then we'll share the harvest. It's kind of a nice way to go about it. And Henrik says, in Canada, you can hunt legally with a tank. I don't think you can legally own a tank in Canada. Curmudgeon says, TEG means thermal electric generator. A Canadian company makes a few setups that you can put in your flue, and it will create 12-volt power around 6 to 8 amps an hour. They're working on a 24-volt system. 6 to 8 amps an hour at 12 volts. That's fairly low powered, but I guess it'd be enough to power. What would you power with that? Just a fan? A light, maybe? What would you be powering flue powered? That's I guess recharging a battery if you're in a pinch, or like in an ice fishing shack. That could be handy for that. Freshly Wild says, does your nearest lake freeze over enough for ice skating in the winter? Yes. I always build an ice skating rink out on the lake for the kids. And Kyle says, at Kermudge, I've seen little grills like that. They'll generate power to charge your battery, like your phone and other electronics. I mean, it makes a lot of sense using the otherwise untapped, unused heat-generated power to recharge your devices. That does make sense. And Henrik says, a 200 cal. Nice moose. Alrighty. One of my buddies just shot a moose last weekend. Big boy. I think it was what did he say? 58, was it 58-inch spread from biggest point to biggest point? Massive. And Curmudgeon says, if you use a 12-volt system, it can charge your bank. Depending on how much power you use, it can charge them fully, as it would run almost 24/7. It's a good point, actually, that you could take advantage of that for overnight. Like, most of the time, the fire's going all night, and so when you're not using electricity. But 6 to 8 amps at 12 volts isn't a lot. It's not that much. That's like 100 watts. And so, for example, like a hairdryer runs at like 800 watts. But I guess depending on how many you had, or how efficient you are on power. And Amanda says, moose sound large. Do people eat moose? Yes. People will hunt them up here to eat them. So that's there. It's basically a forest cow. It's basically the cow of the forest. And Henrik says the cable will not burn or melt. Sounds. It's not a hot area. You must have to use some sort of thermal protection on the wiring to absorb that heat, because the flue does get quite hot. And Curmudgeon says moose is very good, and Amanda says, "Oh." Kyle says, "I've never eaten moose. Is it good?" I've had moose. It's good. It's different. It's a red meat, so think like a steak. Depending on how it's processed, it's a slightly different flavor. It's a little leaner. It's if you're gonna have like moose burger, it's a leaner meat, so you might want to cut it with some pork. But it's good. It's super good for you. There was an episode of Alone. I believe it's called Alone. It's a competition where people try to survive alone, and it was on Netflix. And one of the guys, survival show. One of the guys managed to hunt a moose, and the tough thing was there was a pine marten. It was either a wolverine or a pine marten. It was coming and it was eating all the fat off the moose, because that's where all the nutrition is. The actual nutrition your body needs is in the fat. It's not in the meat itself. Your body can only absorb so much protein, and then you just pass the rest. And so this guy, he ended up winning, but he managed to, on this survival show, he managed to hunt a moose, harvest it, store the meat, but because there was a pine marten eating the fat, he still was starving to death. And he was frustrated. He was saying, "I have more meat than I can physically eat, and I'm still starving to death." Fascinating. Amanda says, "Do you have a carbon monoxide detector?" Yes, I have a couple of them throughout the house. I do have a couple of them throughout the house. Mr. Junkie says, "Ever had bear meat?" I have. I have had bear meat. I've never gotten one myself, but I have eaten the bear meat. Nava says, "Yikes, what is going on Facebook? Please enlighten me." Nava, I'm not sure what's going on Facebook. Basically, I'm just talking about hunting and homesteading, and someone went off on a tangent, and whether they made some sort of AI video or they're trolling, I don't know, but someone's getting all frisky on Facebook, I guess. I don't know. I don't care. Mrs. Army says, "Hello, how have you been since your surgery?" I'm doing really good. I'm feeling really good. Today has been my best day, and I think yesterday had been my best day. So every day going forward is getting really good, getting better every day. Come Tuesday, I plan to start going to the gym. I met with my surgeon on Friday, and he's told me that we've got 6 more weeks of healing, but it's okay to start light exercise. He said, don't try to set a personal record. Don't try to jump right back into it. Try to take it easy. He said, don't do free weights. That was one thing my surgeon said. He said, don't do standing shoulder press, but he said it's okay to do machines like lat pull downs, things where my core is supported and I'm in a seated position. He said, rather than doing the treadmill, do a bike, just because my right leg still does fall asleep on me, and he doesn't want me to biff while I'm on a treadmill. But otherwise, I'm doing pretty good. Yeah, sorry, curmudgeon. I'm making you put the work in today. This is a wild live stream. Kyle says, "I love that show Alone. The guy who got the moose. Did you see that? Oh, the muskox. No, I didn't see that one. Someone got a muskox. That's wild. I'm always fascinated. So all of those shows where people are alone and surviving, or in teams like Naked and Afraid and all that, usually what happens is the guys have a bunch of bravado, and they'll go out trying to hunt big game animals, and they fail because it's not easy to hunt alone without, a pew-pew. And so these guys, they'll try to do spears or traps and stuff like that, and they fail miserably. And they always rely on the women who are out there picking berries, knowing that the guy ain't going to get anything. They're always relying on the women to save the day at the end. Now, the men do tend to persevere and stick out, starving to death a little longer than women. They usually have more mass on their body, so they can survive a little longer. But usually the man is not successful when it comes to the hunting endeavors. And Curmudgeon says, "You owe me a few beers, my friend." I do. And I'm looking forward to your Ask an Alaskan podcast. Remind me and tell the chat, when is your first Ask an Alaskan podcast? Is it coming on Wednesday? Am I right is it Wednesday? And Curmudgeon says, I could not watch alone due to seeing how stupid people get after a day or two in the woods. To be fair, the people who were there for like 3 weeks and then give up because they missed their family, I'm like, you're a survival expert and you knew what you were getting into. You're quitting now. Or the people who like sprain an ankle on day one. It's like, did you know what you were signing up for when you signed up for this show? And Amanda says, Curmudge, you are doing a fantastic job. Okay, Curmudgeon is saying, Ask an Alaskan podcast starts tomorrow at 4 p.m. Curmudgeon, is that going to be a live podcast, or is that's just going to be a podcast between you and that's when it goes live? Is that when you're I've never done the podcast on here. Is that's live, or is that you guys do it and then edit it and then post it? And Amanda, what do you mean? What do you mean, Amanda? And Mrs. Army says, thank you for the update. And Kyle says, he got a muskox using a knife. He ran up on it. See, and there's someone on Facebook mad about me. Meanwhile, we got a guy out there stabbing a muskox to death with a knife. Curmudgeon says it's a live podcast. So guys, I encourage you guys to go check out Ask an Alaskan is it hosted on your channel, Curmudgeon? Is it hosted on your channel? It starts tomorrow at 4 p.m. Alaskan time. A muskox? I thought it was a moose. There was one where a guy got a moose, but he got it with a bow. Apparently there was another one, because there's multiple different series of that show, where someone got a muskox with a knife. And Amanda says, there must be more single men that are like you. Okay, I know what you're saying. There must be more single men that are like you. I have a good friend. He's single. He's a lot like me. He's young though. He's what is he, 23? Something like 23. But just like me, he's a hunter, fisher, into all the survival stuff. He's not as far along in his life as I am, so it's not like he's got, a homestead and animals and stuff like that, but he's there for it. When I need help on the homestead, I call my buddy over and he helps. He's not afraid to if a cow is giving birth, he's not afraid to get out here and help me with it. So there are good men out there. Kyle says, one guy survived by eating mice. And First Kind says, dang, that's barbarian. Amanda says, my daughter is 40. Well, Amanda, there are men who are in your category whose wives have died. Wives died. You've got to date off of the obituary page. Because the problem is when you start dating the divorcees, they probably caused a lot of drama. They weren't perfect themselves, but the guys who managed to stick it out to the very end, those are the OGs. Those are the winners. Curmudgeon says, Kyle, he did not eat well for sure. And Mud says, hi. And Shawnee says, date off the obituary page, lol. Mud says, got out in the water fishing for the first time this year today. Got skunked, but we will head back. Mud, you know what I say? It's more about the journey than the destination. It's more about just getting out there, enjoying the fresh air, enjoying the sun, the water, just being out there. That matters so much more than whether or not you caught a fish. Catching a fish matters if it's a life or death, but if you're doing it for fun, make the whole process fun. Just enjoy the whole process. First Kind says, that is a huge glass of vodka. We'll go get another. We need it with this chat. This chat is just wild today. I kind of hope that someone did post some sort of AI troll on Facebook. Just because it's an awesome demonstration of how people can use AI with negative intent. For those who are just in, we got a lot of trolling going on because we've been talking hunting and homesteading, and we got some crazies in the chat. it's been a wild one, and I can't even review these messages, so I'm relying purely on you guys, my mods, for when these messages come in. But Kind to Cow says, "Oh no, this is not AI." See, there's something going on. So I kind of hope there's no cameras out here, my friend. I really hope that someone posts a link to whatever they're talking about onto one of my videos so I can see what they're talking about. But Player says, "Is your water sugar free?" I hope so. I hope so. And Kind of Cow says, "Drone footage." I live up near Hudson's Bay, and there are no drones out here, my friend. But Amanda says, "My neighbor is Canadian. He can only come to Florida a few times a year. He is Bob. We enjoy when he comes and his friends. Yes, a Harley guy." I myself wasn't ever a Harley guy. I had a Honda Shadow. It was my parents. They let me use that for a little bit, 500. My first motorcycle that I owned was a Kawasaki KLR 250, an enduro, an on-road, off-road. I grew up driving dirt bikes, and I thought that made a lot of sense. Let's get a dirt bike. I didn't have the cleanest driver's record, and my insurance was insane. I was paying like $3,500 a year for insurance on that bike. I rode that bike for 2 years, and then I paid in more in insurance than the bike was worth. I sold the bike, and then I bought a Kawasaki Ninja, and my Ninja sports bike ended up being cheaper insurance than the KLR, which was just crazy. And Mud says, "Yes, sir, looking into getting an incubator for chicks and getting a female guinea pig and selling the babies." Having an incubator is super, super rewarding. I incubate my own chickens and ducks as well, and it is a very rewarding and very lovely process. And so I really encourage you to give it a try. It's not that complicated. It was a little harder here because I live off grid, so that was 28 days or whatever it was of really making sure my generator didn't fail to turn on. So it was a little stressful that way because you need constant heat and humidity for the whole time. But yeah, I love hatching eggs. I think it's super rewarding. And Kermudge in says, "Amanda, what part of Florida?" We moved to Alaska from Florida. And Player says, "That fan has no protective shield to prevent injury or death. That is a violation of fans and air moving utility standard corp." You're talking about this guy here? These things don't spin that fast. You can put your hands right on it. They're hotter than they are sharp. I actually I've got a video going live tomorrow morning of me putting a finger in a mousetrap. And the mousetrap shows a image of decapitated fingers. And so yeah, but they don't hurt that bad. There's not a chance that I'm going to lose a finger putting it in, but I wanted to demonstrate how the reusable ones work. So I've got that video going live tomorrow morning. And for those who are new here, I posted a introduction to the channel video. So feel free to check that out if you want to learn more about the channel. And just because the video is awesome, check it out. It's called "This is My Wildlife, Our Canadian Off-Grid Wilderness Whatever." The first part's the important part. This is my wildlife. And Darlene is here in the chat, says, "Punta Gorda had a really nice tiki bar on the water. Love Florida." And Curmudgeon says, "It is." And yes, it does, Darlene. It is a small world, guys. Kyle says, Curmudge in Alaska is one of the most beautiful places to live. Go check out Curmudgeon's channel. Curmudgeon is a fantastic YouTuber. Curmudgeon, your recent video where you were going over your inventory from this year, that blew up, my friend. You were like, what? It's close to 80,000 views on that video. I was super impressed with that video. I love to see it when a video just absolutely blows up like that. Congratulations. That is super rewarding. It helps just give you that gratification that people enjoy what you're doing, and you're living a unique lifestyle that is worth watching. So kudos to Kermudge in Alaska. And yesterday's video is over 40K. I haven't seen yesterday's yet. I will have to check that out. Maybe while I'm lying in bed, I will go tune in. So guys, go check out Kermudge in Alaska. He's got a banger of a YouTube channel. And Kermudge in, let's throw some heat your way. Do you do much hunting yourself? Do you have any homestead animals? I don't know that you do. Do you do any homesteading? Do you raise any chickens or anything? And Curmudgeon said, went from living on my sailboat and owning a couple businesses, and Sarah was retired. It was nice in Florida, just too hot. Big change going to Alaska. Mud says, any specific type of incubator suggestion? I will do proper research, but thought I'd ask. I believe, what is mine called? Is it a little brother incubator? Get one with an egg turner. There's lots of good ones. Look at the reviews. If you're going to go on Amazon or something, look at the reviews first, just to make sure you're not going to get one that's just going to die out on you. But get one that has a built-in egg turner, because what you're supposed to be doing when you are hatching eggs is you're supposed to be rotating them every day. But you got ones where the egg turner is built into it, and that rotates it. And then I think it's just the last couple days you stop turning the eggs. Yeah, that stops any air bubbles and pockets from forming. So yeah, just get one that has a built-in egg turner. That will make your life easier. And Amanda says, where are your wife and kids? It's so quiet. I'm home alone. That's the only reason we are able to live stream from in the house at this time of night. My wife and kids went to go see their family for Thanksgiving. It is Canadian Thanksgiving right now. So this weekend is our version of Thanksgiving. So they left me alone. My back right now, I'm feeling really good, but I'm still not quite able to travel that far. And so they went without me, and this way I can stay and watch the homestead, take care of all the chickens and the ducks and the rabbits and the goats and the cow. One of my goats is going to have her babies any day now. So it wouldn't really be cool to get a farm sitter, because when a goat has her babies, you got to be there. You got to make sure everything goes well. You got to assist if you need to assist. And so trying to get a farm sitter to deliver your goat's babies for you, it's probably not the most kosher thing to do. Bob, how you doing, Bob? And Pablo, hola Pablo, saludos des Chile, saludos dos Canada, my friend. Pablo is in the chat, and Cheryl says, glad you are good. Good and night his way. Sorry, that is hard to read, but God bless you and yours. Thank you, Cheryl, and happy Thanksgiving to my Canadian friends. Kermudge in says, for those who are looking for our channel, here is the link. Click that link, guys. I'm not going to, because last time I clicked a link, I locked myself out of my own live stream. Someone on YouTube was saying at one point, we posted a link and someone said, I can't click on it. And I was like, it's blue. I'm sure you can click on it. I clicked on it and it brought me to their page, but there's no exit. There was no back button. So I couldn't get back into the stream and I had to close the app. And when you close the app, you end the stream. So that was a big blunder on my part. And Curmudgeon says, at My Wildlife Homesteading, we hunt. However, we have way too many bears and wolves, and they kill way too many baby moose and some adults. I guess it would be a lot harder. Like, I'm in a really unique spot where I have coyotes on the other side of the lake, but this time of year, because I'm on a peninsula, they have a really hard time getting over here, so it's not a problem. I am getting 2 donkeys to help protect the homestead, but we haven't lost any animals to coyotes or wolves, but we could. But I guess where you are, if you don't have that protection on all sides like I do, it's really hard to have homestead animals because they can get picked off. And Taz the Bulldog, welcome back to the chat, my friend, says, how are you doing? Good to see ya. We are getting some IPP pigs in a few weeks. What are IPP pigs? Cheers to that, Taz. I'm doing good, man. I'm feeling really good. My back is healing well. I'm starting to get more physical. On Tuesday, I plan to start going back to the gym. I talked to my surgeon. He kind of gave me a gentle green light. He said, don't overdo it. You're still healing. I've got 6 more weeks of healing with my spinal surgery, but things are going well. And so, yeah, I'm looking forward to getting back in shape. And Curmudgeon says, the state upped our brown bear harvest from 1 to 2. And Curmudgeon says, black bears cleaned us out of chickens a few years ago. Yeah, I hear you got to worry about that with pigs as well. Apparently, bears like bacon. And Taz says, Idaho pasture pigs. That's awesome, man. Are you planning to breed them? Are you planning to just raise them for a certain amount of time and then butcher them? What's your plan with the pigs? I plan to get more pigs in the spring so that I can breed them. I'd like to. So we did pigs this year, and it was really successful. I really enjoyed it. They're a really lovely animal. And so, yeah. Cheryl says tech is wavering tonight. What does that mean? And they are feeders, meaning raised for food. Guns and Gaming says, I plan to take over the city with them. We are going to raise them by the thousands. Honestly, you could unleash havoc if you just bred 1,000 pigs and then just let them go, because they are very good at surviving because they can eat anything. That would be like the most low budget, you know, I would like to see this in a movie where an evil organization decides that their plan of attack is to raise thousands of pigs and unleash them on Los Angeles and just see what happens. Like a place that doesn't like guns, on a really liberal city that's like, we ain't gonna shoot the pigs, we gotta keep them alive. And then the pigs are just everywhere, tearing up everyone's properties and eating everything. It would make a good enough movie. And Cheryl says, Happy Thanksgiving in Canada. Guns and Gaming says, you're in LA? No, I'm in Northern Canada. I'm up here towards Hudson's Bay. I'm up here in Northern Canada. And Cheryl, happy Thanksgiving to everyone in Canada. Up here in Canada, we have Thanksgiving a month ahead of Americans. And for those who might think that's crazy, it's because our growing season is so much shorter. So yeah, that's the gist of it. I keep getting these messages held for review because we've got some Facebook trolls going on, but my phone is acting up, and this is the first time on a live stream I can't do any moderation myself. It's like I'm not a moderator. I can't click on anything, I can't see anything, and I can't silence anything. So I'm leaning heavy on my mods to do the work tonight. Guns and Gaming says, I'm from South Florida. Right on, man. We were just talking about Florida. There's a bunch of Floridians in the crowd. Taz says, sounds like California currently. I am from Cali. Shh. Now a Tennessee. And Cheryl says, atmosphere is crazy. Which atmosphere? The atmosphere in the chat? We have had a wild chat. The only other time I've had this level of trolling going on was I posted a video about my meat rabbits and how to cure nest box eye. And you would think people would be, you got a lot of good attention too, but you would think people would be more receptive to that because I'm talking about how to help an animal, how to cure an animal. But then someone's like, what's a meat rabbit? I'm like, well, that's a rabbit that's made for protein. It's a renewable source of food on a homestead. And they lost it, and they tried to get a group of people into every video to try to report it and blah, 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 blah. It's like, homesteading is a normal way of life, especially up here when you live remotely. You can't rely on a grocery store when there is no grocery store near you. Tenreg, welcome back to the chat, Tenreg. Tenreg says, do you have snow up there yet? We are supposed to get some overnight. I don't have any snow right now. We've had a couple flurries, so some cold enough to snow, but we've had a really warm fall. It's been super nice out. I'm actually, when people are telling me that they're getting moose right now, I'm a little bit surprised because you got to deal with it fast. It is so hot right now. I like to hunt when it's around 0 because then you don't have any flies, you don't have any bugs, and you don't have to deal with rot nearly as fast. You can take your time processing an animal when it's around 0 degrees, 32 Fahrenheit. So yeah, it's been a really hot fall. The rose hips are still out on the bushes. I'm waiting for the first real frost to harvest all the rose hips. Rose hips are a type of berry. They're not good to eat because they're full of seeds, and the First Nations people actually used to call them itchy bum because when you'd eat them, the little hairs and fibers on those seeds would come out your poop, and it would give you an itchy bum. That's the story I heard anyway. But they make a fantastic tea really high in vitamin C. So it's a good winter harvest, like a fall harvest for the winter time. So you can keep your vitamin C up. That's called rose hips. And Amanda says, you are 2,380 miles away, 1 day and 10 hours. It's a journey, my friend. I've got to pay someone a commercial hauler to go get my donkeys for me. I'm getting 2 donkeys at the end of the month, start of November, and I got to pay a commercial hauler because I can't drive that far right now, and it costs an arm and a leg. Because I live in the middle of nowhere. That's just part of it. And Curmudgeon says, we need to harvest the rose hips. They're fantastic. I love harvesting. I got a couple jars from last year, actually. I really need to be more diligent on drinking my teas. I have birch polypore. I've got chaga. I've got rose hips. I've got yarrow. I've got a bunch of stuff to make natural teas, and I just don't drink nearly enough tea. I really got to start adding that in so that I can maintain a good health. Tenrig says, I'm heading out to hunt camp on Monday, and temps are going to be perfect. Good, I'm glad to hear that, my friend. I hope you a successful trip, and just remember, even if you are unsuccessful in the harvest, just appreciate the beauty of nature all around you. One of the things I do when I am hunting is I try to find something, anything, a bird that flies over me, a flower that's a late bloom, just a really pretty unique tree. I try to find something and just draw my attention to it and just kind of, I don't want to say meditate on it, but just give it some attention so that I can appreciate it. And that way, at the end of the day, if I'm unsuccessful on the hunt, I can turn around and say, yeah, but that hummingbird was beautiful. Or I can say, you know, that little fox that scurried along the trail, I've never seen a fox that red. So find something to appreciate and just end the trip with positivity. Too many people are unsuccessful on the hunt, and they forget all the beautiful aspects of the journey of going hunting. And I think it's a shame. I think if you come out all upset and depressed, it's like you got to sit for 12 hours out in the fresh air. You got to hike up a mountain ridge. That's beautiful. That is wonderful. So go into it with positivity, and I wish you the best luck that you can have. Matthew says, hey, y'all, how's it going, Matthew? Matthew, I'm going to need your help tonight. We got a bunch of trolls in the chat tonight. And Cheryl said, acknowledged, and you are a sweet soul. Amanda says, I'm glad you hired someone to bring your donkeys. And Cheryl had also said, very much appreciate and needed your humanity. May I keep you in prayer. I love mule's tea. Yes, by all means, I am a Christian man myself, so all the more prayers, the better. And Tenreg says, I love just being out there. Not about the hunting, it's just a bonus. Exactly, that's the right attitude to go into it. Amanda says, oh, speak the names of loved ones that passed away in the wind. I did that today. That's a lovely thing, lovely thought. Curmudgeon says, if they are going to complain about not getting to harvest anything, then they should have stayed at work. Yeah, but I know people who get out there and just go out hunting with negativity in mind. They come back just feeling all bummed out or upset or angry they didn't take a shot that would have been a bad shot. So as long as you go into it with positivity and you appreciate the journey, it's a lot of fun. Jerome says, hello, brother. How you doing, Jerome? Matthew, to fill you in earlier in the chat, someone got really mad that I'm a homesteader. And I think they maybe did. I don't know. I don't know if they actually did. But it sounds like maybe they put some AI slop on the internet and they were trying to say that, link my channel saying that I'm an animal abuser, which is not true. But we had a whole whack of people coming in here getting mad for a little while. And Curmudge in Alaska had to put the work in to keep the chat wholesome and calm. Lot of trolls. Arguably the most we've had in a live stream, in a single live stream. I'm not looking forward to when I sign off of this and I see all the notifications for all the comments these people are probably leaving on my other videos. But hey, that's part of it. If I didn't want any attention, I wouldn't be online. I wouldn't be on the internet. And Amanda says, I agree, enjoy the journey. Curmudgeon says, I have not harvested a moose in 4 years. I'm not mad about it. means the one I did not harvest is bigger, especially where you are, where there's not as many hunters, where I am too. That's my attitude is if I'm not hunting this year because of my back surgery. And so my mindset is they're going to be bigger and healthier next year. So I'm not too upset that I'm not harvesting them this year. It's kind of like my cattle. I don't harvest them every year. I let them get 2 years old before I butcher them. So yeah, there's no regrets. And Tenreg says, or they hunt just for a trophy, which is ridiculous and not my style. Yeah, I find not too many people actually do hunt for just a trophy. I mean, you hear about it, but I've never known anyone who's hunted and not harvested the kill. I've heard stories of people taking a not clean shot, a not good shot, and I think that's kind of disgusting or despicable. But again, you don't know the circumstances. It's one thing if you take a shot at the back end of a moose as it's running away. You know that's not a good, clean kill shot. You're just going to hurt the thing and it's going to get taken by wolves later. That's very, very frowned upon. But for someone where you've got a broadside, a good approach, and he turns a bit and you don't get a good shot, that is part of the game. It's never happened to me. We've been very successful, but it does happen. Ernie says, I like hunting with a camera. What do you mean by with a camera, my friend? I have a trail camera set up in the back fields. I'm not going to hunt myself because my body's still healing, but I do have a bunch of geese decoys out there. Right by where I got 2 deer last year, I cleared out a swath in the back fields and plan to have a buddy come down and hunt for some geese. So I've got the trail camera set up and I haven't seen anything yet, but I'll give it some time. The geese are really going to start flying over here in another 10 days or so. That's usually when their migration path comes through. It's been warm, so they're less eager to fly away. But soon enough. My bay out here, my lake out here, it gets to a point where there are literally thousands of wild ducks in the lake out here. It's fascinating. It's almost, so up here in Canada, there's, in most places, there's conservation laws in place where you can only hunt a certain number of ducks and certain species of ducks. It's really hard up here during that time of year to stay within your limit because there'll be 1,000 ducks out there, and one shot with a shotgun, you got to dial that in. You got to snug up your spread because there are just so many, and it's wonderful. I think I saw Funny and Insightful says, I saw that intro video, 90 seconds, and I loved it, Justin. Thank you, Funny and Insightful. I did re-upload it. I had posted the initial one, and it got about 20 views right away, but I re-uploaded it because I realized my software had made it darker than I wanted it to be, and so I just enhanced the video, lightened it up, and then reposted it. So if your comment isn't there when you go back and look, it's just because it's a re-upload. I've been struggling with technical difficulties today. And Georgia's in the chat, says, loved your intro video, Justin. You did a great job. Thank you. Henrik says, how many freezers do you have? Unos, dos, tres, cuatros. I've got 4 freezers, 4 deep freezers. And Curmudgeon says, Matthew, just ban them from the channel. Too many trolls. And Amanda says, do you eat overnight oatmeal? No cooking needed. Put oatmeal, cinnamon, pumpkin pie seasoning, nuts, and milk over it. Put it in the fridge. It's perfect in the morning. Do you have to add any milk or water? Or is it just absorbing the pumpkin pie? No. Do you pre-cook it? Do you steam it and cook it? I'm confused. I missed it. Put milk over it. Okay. I was going to say, that sounds like a very dry oatmeal, but you put milk over it. Amanda, I'm going to look in my cupboard and see what seasonings I have because I definitely have oatmeal. We'll try that. That sounds delicious. And Curmudgeon agrees. He says, that sounds interesting. Ernie says, I carry a camera. I leave the gun. Okay. He hunts with a camera, meaning he goes out getting footage. Honestly, I do most of that while we're YouTubing because especially if I'm planning to do live streaming that. I can't bring a gun with me anyway, but I can absolutely respect that. Nature is beautiful. I get a lot more moose, bear, and deer on camera than I ever could imagine with a gun. It's almost like they taunt you. It's like the month before hunting season, they'll walk right up to you and almost lick your face. And then during hunting season, they'll smell you from 300 yards out and run away. I try to tell my wife, like she'll, we'll drive past deer, we'll stop the car, we'll take a picture. She'll be like, why does it take you so long to get one out in the back fields? They come right up to you. I'm like, trust me, they don't. They're just teasing us. And Henrik says, are you drinking moonshine? Cheers to some vodka. Just water, my friend. I'm actually, I haven't had a single drink for 6 years. Now, when I say that, it sounds like I had a drinking problem. I didn't. I don't think I did, but I am 6 years sober come November 19th. Tenreg says, how is your back recovery coming along? Surprisingly good. I feel fantastic. I saw the surgeon on Friday. We had a good conversation. I'm going to start going back to the gym on Tuesday and hopefully put some more muscle back on. I've had 2.5 months of atrophying since my back blew out and then I had the surgery, and I've been on really, really light duty. So it's time to get back in shape. It's time to get back at it. So we're going to start that on Tuesday. And Curmudgeon says, at My Wildlife, been following Ernie a while, enjoying his channel. Ernie has a super wholesome vibe going. The camera he's using, or I'm assuming it's the camera he's using and not just how he's editing it, but it comes off kind of that retro style, and it's just so wholesome. Guys, I'm just going to reiterate it again. Go check out Curmudgeon Alaska's channel for more content that's even more hardcore than this channel as far as survival and living off grid goes. And go check out Ernie's cabin for some really wholesome vibes. He's got some chickens around, and he's got a ton of awesome nature content. It's just a dude living the life that we all want to live. And Henrik says, moonshine and a hunting, good mix. And Funny and Insightful says, what made you quit drinking, and what's your advice to someone who's drinking a lot? So I stopped drinking, so really it was having children. I went through my university phase, drinking with the boys, the whole frat party phase. I went through that like most young people do. And then when I had my first son, I made the conscious decision that I was not going to drink if I was home. So if I was going to be home and he was home, it was like, okay, if I'm in the same town as my son, like I traveled lots for work. I gotta try to rewind and preface this. I travel a lot for work. And so my mindset was, if I'm home, I'm not drinking. If I'm out of town, it's fine. If I'm home and something happens that my son needs me to bring him to the hospital, if my wife's sick and needs help caring for the kid, I need to be there. I need to have my A game. So I would not drink at home. And then I would drink on business trips. And I was going on quite a bit of business trips. So I was drinking, I would say a normal amount, but quite a bit. And these business trips always end with dinner and drinks and all that. So it was still a normal part of my life. And then the reason I say November 19th was the last time I drank was because that's when I was at a business trip. I was drinking during that trip. And then shortly after, COVID happened. All the trips, everything shut down for 2.5 years. Everything was shut down up here in Canada. And so I hadn't drank for 2.5 years. I didn't miss it. And then when things opened up again, I thought, you know what? I'm healthier. I'm in better shape. I haven't done it, so why restart? And so it was really the big COVID helped me. I know for a lot of people, COVID got them to start drinking more. For me, that's what got me to stop drinking altogether. And I just have stuck with it. And now I've made it kind of my moral obligation that I'm just not going to drink again. I have 5 kids. I have a homestead. I've got responsibilities. I just don't drink anymore, full stop. And I don't judge people who do drink. I've drank. It's not like I'm saying drinking is the devil. You do make poorer decisions when you're drinking, but I'm not judging anyone who has a drink. Just for me, a personal choice, I just choose not to drink anymore. Now, advice for someone who maybe has a problem. Seek help if you drink a lot. Seek help, seek counseling, seek guidance, seek medical help. Otherwise, do some inner reflection and think about what matters the most to you. What is most important to you? Is your family the most important thing to you? If you're out drinking and your family needs you, can you get to them? Can you take care of them? If your family is more important than drinking, it might be good time to stop drinking. That's just my thoughts. Catching up on the chat, Cheryl said, "Aw, what awesome content. Thank you." And Amanda said, Awesome. I don't drink, never had a problem, just too many people around me that indulge too much. I'm scared for life, scarred for life. And does he have an Airbnb? Kermudge in Alaska has an Airbnb, guys. Go check out Kermudge Inn. And Gabriel says, Jesus Christ died so we could live. Our sins are forgiven. If we accept him into our hearts and commit to being reborn because of his death, we are saved. We are offered eternal life. And Henrik says, many people smoke green stuff to help them stop drinking. And Curmudgeon said, Amanda, in time, we will be renting the other cabins. Currently, friends are renting as they build a cabin in our area. And Don Pelton says, hey, brother. How you doing, Don? And Cheryl says, men are wonderful. And Curmudgeon said, 5 kids? Well, we know what goes on in the colder months. You gotta stay warm somehow, my friend. When you heat with wood and the wood stove is going out and it's too cold to get out of bed, you snuggle up a little closer. You gotta stay warm. What can I say? And Dawn said, only bad stuff happens when I drink, not gonna lie. That's kind of my thoughts too. Matthew says, I love cooking with wine and beer and taking one while I cook. And Freshly says, mod support. Hey, Freshly. Austin says, good advice. Curmudgeon says, Matthew, try limoncello with chicken sometime. Dawn said, yeah, smoke helps a lot. And hey, love your content. I also choose not to smoke. I don't smoke. I don't partake in any of our fun, Cubanist psilocybin mushrooms that grow in the cow patties. They're there, but for me, I feel like I have a really good life and I'm grounded in the reality I'm living and I don't have any real traumas. So for me, I don't find a need to partake in mind-altering substances, but that's just for me. I'm kind of happy with my current state of mind, but I'm not judging anyone who does. This is the part of free will and free choice, and whatever makes you happy and helps. I'm not here to judge either way. I don't care. It's just for me. I don't partake. Funny and Insightful says, did you ever move away from your faith? And if you did, what made you come back? How's your faith supporting your family, your life and family? I would say I did to some extent. When I was in university, hanging out with the guys and going out clubbing and stuff, I wasn't going to church. I wasn't practicing. It wasn't until I got together with my wife, who is, at the time, my girlfriend, and she is very religious. We actually met on a religious pilgrimage years beforehand, and we rekindled our relationship, and I got back into my faith, and it was just very easy to, when you have support from someone who loves you, and I've always believed in faith in Christianity. I've always believed, but you kind of get caught up in the hustle and bustle and the drinking with the boys. So my wife grounded me, brought me back to the faith, and yeah, I give full credit to my wife. And Cheryl says, you are taking care of your vessel. And Matthew said, I can pass a couple weeks without drinking without a problem. And I can be months without smoking weed, even if I can with my back. And Matthew, I know you're struggling with back problems and health problems. And so definitely no judging. Whatever makes you feel healthy and happy when you've got health issues. Curmudgeon says, don't eat those kind of mushies anymore. A little spot every now and then to help me sleep. And good man, my friend. And Dawn says, you are a good family man. David says, where are you at? We are up here in Northern Canada. Curmudgeon, because I can't click on the messages, has the trolling stopped? Are we pretty well in the clear? I feel like we're in the clear. I feel like most of that has ended. And Amanda says, your wife is great. That's God that brought you two together. And Dawn said, pain management is always difficult. I've been super lucky. I had surgery on my legs when I was younger, both legs. I spent 1.5 years on crutches, hurting for a long time. And I just thankfully was at a young age, was able to learn to dissociate from pain very well. I find head pain is really hard to ignore, but the rest of my body, I've done really well. My wife thinks I'm a maniac. Like I'll almost lose a finger. I don't know if you guys can see. I've got a gnarly scar there. So when I did that one, I put a saw blade right through my hand, and it was all a bloody mess. And she wanted me. I just taped it up and kept doing my thing. And she saw it, like for a good. I bled all night and into the next day. And she was just stunned that it didn't bother me. But I've just, I went through that physical trauma at a young age. I had a major surgery on both my legs, had to reattach my tendons because I was about to tear them and not be able to walk again. They had to grind into the bones, drill new holes, do all that. It was painful. That sucked. But it sucked for so long that I stopped caring. And so with my back, I'll get a little testy. I'll get a little moody. I'll get a little bit edgy when it's really sore. But I've never felt that I've had to take painkillers to get by it. Now, when you've got a headache or a toothache, or when I had wisdom teeth pulled, stuff like that, absolutely, I'm taking the painkillers because that sucks. With my spinal surgery, I ended up needing to take the painkillers for the first 2 days, and that was it. So I'm just super, super blessed that my body doesn't react to pain. I don't have the same kind of processing as a lot of people. Because there's a lot of people hurting out there. There's a lot of people suffering, and I feel for them. I've just been very fortunate and lucky that my body can handle it fairly well. Cheryl says, smiling like a Cheshire cat now. Thanks, love. And Dopey Music says, if a zebra farts in the middle of the woods and no one is around to smell it, how long does it take for it to queef? So you're assuming it's a female zebra. 38 seconds. Amanda says, does your wife cut your hair? It always looks nice. Yes, my wife is my hairdresser, and she does a fantastic job. If it was up to me, like if it was just me, if it was just up to me, either my hair would be super long because I just wouldn't get it cut, or it'd be buzzed all the time because I couldn't be bothered. But my wife does a fantastic job. Funny and Insightful says, a lot of folks these days get real upset, even with small setbacks, and get bogged down on minor responsibilities. And you seem to be taking them as your fuel. What's your advice? What's your mindset? So I think everybody, especially homesteaders, but everybody always feels like you can never do enough and you're always behind, and it's easy to feel bogged down by responsibilities and chores and things you've got to get done and do, whether that be getting the next grade in high school, or competing in a sports team, or taking care of animals, or dealing with an injury. It's all part of the journey. My mindset is enjoy the task while you're doing it. If you make all these tasks, if you make your chores, if you make your responsibilities enjoyable and not stressful, it's much easier to move forward. And just understand that everybody is dealing with struggles. Everybody has a challenge in their lives, and we all got to work through it. Don't let other people's negativity get you down, because you don't know what kind of day they've had. And so just focus on yourself. If you can make other people happy, make other people happy, and just find the joy. It goes back to what I was saying about if you're hunting and you're unsuccessful, find something to make it feel rewarding. Find that hummingbird on a leaf, so that even if you walk out without getting a kill on your hunt, you can still say that was a beautiful day. That was a beautiful hummingbird. Same thing when you're going and doing chores. When I go and interact with the goats and they all come up nibbling on my jacket and asking for head scratches, you could go into that and being frustrated, and you can go into that with the mindset of, get out of my way, I'm trying to do stuff, you're pushing on me, you're shoving me, get out of here. Or you can go into it like, oh, this is really cute, they all want head scratches and they love me, and that's really nice. And so it's just about rephrasing your current mindset. Does that make sense? And Matthew had said, I've worked 2.5 days with 2 broken ribs, moved for 3 or 4 days with a broken foot, without it being in a cast, and so much more. That is like a lesson in the stubbornness of man. I've been in that same boat, and the doctors always yell at me because we are too stubborn for our own good. Dopey says, that's really close. It's 34. I could break down why if you would like. I feel like I missed something. When I get behind on the chat after a rant, I start missing things. So sorry, guys. David says, So true. I live in the mountains in Tennessee and I live off the land. Curmudge in says at Matthew, people get hurt and they cry and cannot work. I broke 2 ribs trying to move a water pump on a Sea Ray 38. Still finished my day of work after wrapping them. And Dopey says, I came on here playing around, but I appreciate your advice. Very well worded. I hope you have a good night, brother. Dopey, take care, man. Uh, I usually can tell when people are coming in just trying to troll and be, but I try to respect everybody. So even if you're coming in trying to be rude, I try to give everyone a chance as long as we can keep it respectful. Because you know that I've had some great relationships with people on here who came in trolling at first, but I'm just not too quick to get offended. And Pelton said it's all about perspective. And Funny and Insightful says that was well said, Justin. And Cheryl said respect towards goats and donkeys. It also helps that I can't. My phone is not letting me see any of these trolls. I can't click on any of them. And our Poppy Tool. I don't think they were trying to troll, guys, but they come in and they do big walls of text. But that's just how they talk. I don't know what they were trying to say, but usually they're not actually trying to be offensive. They post on all my videos. There's a bit of a language barrier, but sorry, Poppy. Yeah, sometimes they come in with these big walls of text. Ernie says the best way to stop worrying about your chores is to get them done. That's true, man. Sometimes the weight of overwhelming responsibility holds you back from just doing the things that you should be doing. We've all been there where you start doing your laundry list and you start thinking about all the things that you've got to get done in the day, and then you don't get any of them done. But if you just focus on 1 or 2 things, then get them done, and then your list is shorter. Dopey says, no, I wasn't trying to get a rise or anything. I was joking about the zebra quick. No, I know. And I just play along with it. Because again, you were respectful. It wasn't anything rude. It was just silly. My lines are sexualized content and racist content. So anything sexualized, like overly sexualized or racist, that's kind of got to be an instant get out of here, because there are younger people who come in here. I can't moderate the age of people coming in. Sorry, I just had to check our battery. We're down to 11%. But when someone comes in just trying to be silly or even poke a little jab at me, we get a lot of people when I'm wearing my cowboy hat who come in like, yo, it's Brokeback Mountain. I'm okay with that. That doesn't offend me. I don't care. And Funny and Insightful says, what's your mantra of productivity? Homesteading isn't a joke, and you always need to be doing one job after another. How do you always keep going and mentally there? I just enjoy spending time with the animals. So because the animals bring me great joy, doing the responsibilities and the chores, it's fun. It's rewarding. Knowing that I'm taking care of the animals and able to give them a high quality of life, it's enjoyable. So for me, homesteading is no joke. You're right, especially when you're working a full-time job still, and you're working a job, you're getting home, you're going out in the homestead, you're doing chores till 9, 10 at night, then you're having supper and you're tired. I can see how that can bog you down, but I enjoy it. So don't do it if you don't enjoy it. But if you enjoy it, get out there. I recommend to a lot of people who want to get into homestead, don't take on more than you can chew. Start with like one animal, one type of animal. Maybe just start with ducks or just start with chickens. Start with one thing first so you don't get overwhelmed. Too many people end up with Old McDonald's farm really, really fast. We're kind of like that. We've been doing this for 2 years, and we're going to be up to, we've had a total of 6 cows. We're going to have 2 donkeys. We've had 4 pigs. We've got a ton of rabbits, a ton of chickens, a ton of ducks, a ton of goats. I got 9 goats. And so we kind of did the whole EIEIO pretty quick. But we made sure that we really, really were dialed in and knew what we were doing with one animal at a time before getting another. We just didn't really give ourselves a gap in between. It was like, okay, I know ducks. I'm good with ducks. Chickens? Okay, I'm good with chickens. Well, might as well get donkeys. Now we're getting donkeys. So yeah, I don't recommend doing what we're doing because it can be overwhelming for a lot of people. We're just kind of giving her. And Dawn says, you are an inspiration for a lot of people. You have no idea. Apparently, I'm not an inspiration for the people coming over from Facebook. Cheryl says, you are a blessing, and makes a laughing, crying emoji about the zebra. Amanda says, what happens when you need a vet? For the most part, you've got to do most of the vet intervention yourself. So that's why my goat is about to have twins or triplets. So I have her in a separate barn and I have a baby monitor. And so I just need to listen overnight. And so when she goes to go into labor, by the time a vet would get here to help, she's already had the babies. Whether we're successful or not, it's done. And so I get out there and I help. So you just got to do a lot of it yourself. We've had some winter births, which is not fun because you got to get out there. You got to get out there with towels. You got to dry them off right away. You got to bring them into the house. Bast lived in our house for 4 weeks. So it can be tricky. Often I can go to a vet and I can get medication for the animals. So if an animal gets sick, up here, they're pretty understanding knowing how remote we are. So for the most part, I can go get the medication, bring it back and just administer it myself. But yeah, if I wanted to do like artificial insemination, I gotta do it myself. I gotta go shoulder deep in the cow. So yeah, that it's a challenge. It is a challenge not having your own vet. I do all my own hooves here myself. And so YouTube is a great resource. There's lots of people out there teaching you how to do things. My wife was a nurse, so she's really good on the medical side as far as giving any needles and stuff to the animals, and then staying on top of like medicine. But yeah, just do it yourself. And Funny and Insightful says, Brian's about to get the boot. What did Brian say? I think Brian already did get the boot. And Dawn said donkeys are territorial and almost better than dogs for protection. So I've got 2 Jennies, 2 females coming. One of them's pregnant, one of them's not. The females are a lot less aggressive than the males. The males can be trouble. If you don't have females to please the male can get aggressive. I was talking to a farmer who had a 4-year-old donkey, and he was telling me how because he didn't have any females to take his angst out on, he started going after the cows, not sexually, aggressively, and he'd grab them by the necks and he'd try to pull on them and fight with them. There weren't many predators on the farm, so it wasn't taking its anger out on predators, so it started going after the cows. That was a male, and that was after 4 years. The first 3 years were good, but then that good old testosterone kicks in, and they get wild. A lot of people around here will only keep their bulls, their male cows, for up to 5 years because then they get too big and too aggressive. And so you just kind of got to manage it yourself. But the female animals generally are really good. Matthew says, Justin, tap on the screen and click all messages and not just some. Am I missing stuff? You know what, Matthew? My phone isn't letting me touch on any of the settings. For some reason, I can't touch any of your messages. I can't block anyone. I can't view any messages. I can't go into the settings. I can't do anything right now. But that's okay. Cheryl said, why have you not shown up on my stream until now? Well, Cheryl, I'm glad you saw me, and check out my intro to the channel video. You've been sticking around, so you've been getting a lot of good kind of, this is what we do. But check out my introduction to the channel video that I posted today. It'll give you a really fantastic kind of overall view of what we normally do. Normally, we're not sitting inside live streaming. Pitch black out there. It's late. I streamed this morning. I'm going to stream tomorrow afternoon while it's still light out. We'll go hang out with the animals. But yeah, welcome to the channel. And Amanda said, anytime I take my dog to the vet, it's $400 and up. His allergies are awful. He is a pit bull. He gets hives. Benadryl works sometimes. Yeah. I know Lily had gotten sick with a bacteria called blastomycosis. Lily is my dog, and she was young. And to be fair, she's a farm dog. I traded someone $10 and a meat rabbit for my dog. So I only paid $50 for my dog kind of thing. And she got blasto, and I did take her into the vet to see why she was sick. And I spent the $300-400 on the x-rays and stuff to examine her lungs and stuff. And they wanted me to put her on a medication for a minimum of, I think it was 6 months at like $100 a month. And then that was a minimum. Then we'd pay for another x-ray, and then we'd see if we got to go like another 6 months. And I was like, bro, if she dies, she dies. She's a farm dog. I love her, but she's, I'm not going to spend thousands of dollars on a farm dog. And so she was young. We fed her well. We kept her in the house. We took care of her. We made sure she was hydrated, and she ended up recovering. She ended up fighting it off herself. She was young enough that her body could fight it off, and she's good. We've had her for 2 years now. But yeah, the vet can be expensive, very expensive. And Amanda says, I really enjoy hearing your stories. It's so nice to know you exist. Well, thank you. And what else? Funny and Insightful said, what knowledge or skill that you are definitely planning on to develop to sustain your homesteading? So one of the things I want to do for 2026 is I want to get into some modern day survival. And what I mean by modern day survival, a lot of guys are doing primitive survival. So flint and steel and the stick bow for starting fires and stuff like that. A lot of guys are doing primitive survival videos. I want to do a lot more on modern survival, meaning if a solar flare happened and you lost technology, if a nuke happened and society shut down and you eventually ran out of power, that doesn't mean you don't have access to glass, to metal, access to brake drums for making a forge. I actually got 2 brake drums yesterday, and next year I'm going to turn those into a brake drum wood-fired forge. I'm going to make my own charcoal. And so skills using modern stuff. I don't need sticks and stones when we have access to metal. We have access to glass. I can smash the headlight off of a car and start a fire with that convex mirror. And so I want to start doing some stuff like that. I want to use a brake drum, make a forge, harvest some scrap metal, melt it down, reshape it into like some arrowheads, for example. I want to do a series on testing different materials for arrows and arrowheads. I'd like to try like making a bone arrowhead, a stone arrowhead, an aluminum arrowhead, an iron arrowhead, a steel arrowhead, and all shoot them, let's say all at 50 yards. See how the different ones hold up. How many shots can I shoot until that arrow breaks? What's the penetration? Like how sharp can I get it? Stuff like that. So utilizing modern stuff, but in a survival setting. Does that make sense? So I want to start doing more of that next year. And my thought is I can be live streaming during all the builds and the making, and then just do the long form for the actual testing. But we can be live all the way along the process. So it's not like we're going to be live any less by focusing on long form. We're just going to make a few more long form in that kind of category or niche. And Funny had said, Justin, I like you and your family because 1, you guys are humble. 2, you guys stay close to nature and faith and earthiness. And 3, you're an inspiration that this generation needs. Life is very real for you. Thank you. I appreciate the kind words. Don says, there is technology. Curmudgeon says, right, we have everything to make charcoal, but we can find coal here in Alaska. Matthew says, a mill for metal, a metal lathe, a wood mill. I do plan to buy a wood mill as well because I brought a sea can out onto the property and I want to turn it into a second barn and dry storage. But I don't want to spend all the money on wood because the amount of money I'll spend on wood can buy a mill. So I'd rather just buy a mill. And Curmudgeon says, wood lathes are fun. I have one. I need a metal lathe. It'd be fun to have a wood lathe as well. For making my own custom arrows and stuff. But part of my idea for next year is to do stuff without electricity. Yeah, there's all sorts of fun goodies we can do. And Dawn says, I love your videos. Thank you. And Ernie says, good seeing you again. Have a good night, y'all. Take care, Ernie. I appreciate you stopping in again, my friend. And Matthew said, a better electrical system with all those machines. Curmudgeon says, we have a sawmill as well. Do you have a saw blade or a bandsaw? Dawn says, you're a good cinematic artist, brother. Good edits in video is powerful. Did you see the video I did there? Are you talking about the one I did for today? That was the first video I sat down and actually went through old footage, new footage, edited it together, and kind of enjoyed the process. I usually don't like editing videos, which is why I love live streaming, because once we're done, we're done. I don't have to edit it. And Funny and Insightful says, what are you worried about in 2026 for the animals? Any threats you were concerned about? Not really. I mean, I'm not worried about anything for the animals. We're getting the donkeys and stuff, which is going to make winter a lot less stressful. Normally, I'm worried in the winter. I worry about Gabby. She is pregnant right now, so we're going to have a calf born on the property. And my concern is she is due either between December 20th and January 10th, because she was with my bull for those 2 weeks before I butchered him. And if she doesn't have her calf then, we are okay until she has a baby in May. So I worry a little bit around Christmas time. If she has a baby then, I'm going to have a cow in my house. And I don't want a cow in my house, but I'm going to have a cow in my house if she has a baby in January. And Amanda says, the Waltons had a mill. I loved the shows. The smell is so nice. And Curmudgeon said, take care, Ernie. And we have a Hudson Sawyer. It is a bandsaw blade. That's the kind I want, a bandsaw blade mill. And Dawn said, yes, sir. Been following your content for a little bit now. And Join Team Brown said, yo, it's me, Tenna. Tenna, you changed your name. How could you do this to me? Amanda says, are you sitting for too long? Protect your back. I have been sitting for a long time. I haven't gotten up to get more water. I'm actually thinking we're gonna wrap this stream up because I am sweltering by the wood stove. I'm starting to get a glisten across the forehead, and I'm ready for bed. It is 9:40 p.m. here, and you guys have been wonderful. Team moderators, good job tonight. This was an excessive troll chat tonight, so kudos to you guys. Much love. Thank you for keeping this wholesome and helping us out here, especially because I've been having technical difficulties, so I haven't been able to do it myself. But I appreciate you guys. And JJ, none of them racist jokes out here in the chat. And Dawn says, you're amazing. And Funny says, I gotta go now. Good night. I'm saying bye too, guys. Thank you guys for joining us. Stay wild, friends. And thanks for checking out the content. I appreciate you guys. God bless and have a good night. We will be back live tomorrow afternoon, sometime tomorrow afternoon. Take care, guys, and thanks for all your help.